Before we begin, let me ask you something. Imagine you are sitting alone late at night. You are tuning an old radio between stations. All you hear is static, white noise, the hiss of empty frequencies. And then, for just a moment, you hear something. A voice, a tone, a pattern that does not belong. Do you trust your ears? Do you call someone? Do you spend the rest of your life wondering what it was? Leave a comment and tell me about it. Because today's story is about that moment. Except the static was not coming from an old radio. It was coming from the stars. And the signal was so strange, so unexpectedly powerful, that the man who found it picked up a red pen and wrote one word across the printout. Wow. This is the story of the WOW signal, the most famous unsolved mystery in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. A 72-second burst of radio waves that seemed to come from somewhere very, very far away. And the reason it still matters, 48 years later, is not because we figured out what it was. It is because we never figured it out at all. Let me take you back to the summer of 1977. The place is Ohio. The setting is not glamorous. It is not Cape Canaveral. It is not a high-tech laboratory. It is a muddy field outside a small town called Delaware. In that field stands a strange structure. 14 massive metal billboards, each one the size of a house, arranged in a grid. They do not point at the sky like normal telescopes. They stare straight up, like giant ears listening for a whisper. This is the Big Ear Radio Telescope. And on the night of August 15th, 1977, it was doing what it always did, listening. The man who would find the signal was not a famous astronomer. His name was Jerry Ehman. By day, he worked odd jobs, construction, warehouse work. By night, he volunteered for a quiet project called SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. He did it for free because he believed someone was out there. Every day, he would drive to Ohio State University and pick up stacks of computer printouts, pages and pages of numbers and letters. Most of them were boring. Static, noise, nothing. But on that August morning, as he flipped through the pages at his kitchen table, he saw something that made him stop. Here is what the printout showed. A sequence of letters and numbers. 6EQUJ5. In the code the scientists used, each letter represented a jump in signal intensity. The weakest signals were marked with numbers 1 through 9. Then came the letters. A was 10 times the background noise. B was 11 times, and so on. 6EQUJ5 started with a 6. Then it jumped to E. E meant 14 times the background noise. But then it kept going. Q was 26 times. U was 30 times. J was 19 times and falling. The signal peaked at 30 times the background noise. Then, just as suddenly, it faded. Jerry Ehman stared at the numbers. He knew the odds of this being a random blip were astronomically small. He knew it was exactly what they had been looking for. He knew that if aliens were trying to say hello, this is what it would look like. He took out a red pen. He circled the sequence. And then, in the margin, he wrote one word. Wow. He did not write aliens. He did not write contact. He just wrote, wow. Because that was the only word that fit. Here is what made the signal so strange. First, its frequency. It was broadcasting at 1420 megahertz. That is the natural frequency of hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. For decades, scientists have believed that any intelligent civilization trying to communicate across the galaxy would choose that frequency. It is the universal hello. Second, its duration. The Big Ear telescope scanned the sky slowly, passing each point for exactly 72 seconds. For those 72 seconds, the signal was there. Strong, clear, unmistakable. Then, as the telescope moved on, it vanished. It did not fade. It did not weaken. It was just there. And then it was gone.
Third, its source. The signal came from a patch of sky in the constellation Sagittarius, a dense field of stars, a direction toward the center of our galaxy. Not from any known planet, not from any known star, just somewhere out there. In the days that followed, the team tried to find the signal again. They pointed the telescope back at the same patch of sky. They listened for hours, days, weeks. Nothing. The signal never repeated. Not once, not ever. Jerry Ehman did not become famous. He did not go on talk shows. He did not write a book. He went back to his day job. He kept volunteering. He kept listening. But for the rest of his life, whenever someone asked him about the wow signal, he would shake his head and say the same thing. I wish I knew what it was. And that is where the mystery begins. Because if the signal was made by aliens, why did they send it only once? If it was a natural phenomenon, why has no one ever seen anything like it since? If it was a secret military satellite, why did no one ever claim responsibility? These questions have haunted astronomers for nearly 50 years. They have led to dozens of theories, some reasonable, some ridiculous, some that sound like science fiction, but might actually be true. And they have made the wow signal into something more than just a radio blip. It has become a symbol of the unknown, a symbol of the possibility that we are not alone, and a symbol of the frustrating, maddening silence that followed. We will get to those theories in the next part of this story. The comets, the satellites, the secret weapons, the aliens. But first, let me ask you something. Do you believe we are alone in the universe? Or do you believe that somewhere out there, someone else is listening too? Leave a comment and tell me about it. Because the wow signal is not just a mystery, it is a question. A question that goes back thousands of years to the first humans who looked up at the stars and wondered. And the strangest thing of all is not that we found a signal. The strangest thing is that after 48 years of listening, with telescopes 1,000 times more powerful than the Big Ear, we have still not found another one. The universe is vast. The stars are countless. And yet when we listen, there is mostly silence. That silence is the real mystery. And what broke it for 72 seconds in 1977 may be the most important thing anyone has ever heard. or it may have been nothing at all. That is what we are going to find out.
So there it was, a signal, powerful, clear, unlike anything anyone had ever seen. And then, nothing. The Big Ear telescope scanned the same patch of sky over and over. Other telescopes joined the search. Astronomers across the country pointed their dishes toward Sagittarius. Silence. The signal did not come back. Not the next day, not the next week, not the next year. And that is when the real mystery began. Because a signal that never repeats is almost impossible to explain. Let me tell you why. When astronomers look for extraterrestrial intelligence, they have a few assumptions. One of them is that any civilization trying to say hello will not just send a message once. They will send it again and again. They will make it obvious. They will make it hard to miss. The WOW signal did the opposite. It appeared for 72 seconds. It was incredibly loud. And then it vanished, as if it had never existed. That is not how natural phenomena behave. Stars do not blink on and off like that. Pulsars have steady rhythms. Supernovas fade over days or weeks. Even the strangest things in the universe leave traces. The WOW signal left nothing. So what could it have been? Over the next 48 years, scientists proposed dozens of explanations. Some were elegant, some were desperate. Some were so unlikely that the people who proposed them did not even believe them. Let me walk you through the most popular theories. Theory number 1. A secret military satellite. This was the first guess. In 1977, the Cold War was still very real. Both the United States and the Soviet Union had satellites in orbit. Some of them were secret. Some of them broadcast on unusual frequencies. Could the WOW signal have come from a spy satellite? The problem is location. Satellites are close. The Big Ear telescope was pointed at a patch of sky far beyond Earth's orbit. A satellite would have moved across the telescope's field of view in a few seconds, not 72. And it would have appeared again on the next scan. It did not. Also, no government ever claimed responsibility. If it was a secret military test, someone would have declassified it by now. No one has.
Theory number 2, a passing comet. This theory gained popularity in recent years. A small comet, releasing a cloud of hydrogen gas, could theoretically produce a burst of radio waves at 1420 megahertz. The frequency matches, the duration could match, and comets move. In 2016, a team of astronomers proposed that a comet named 266P/Christensen was passing through the exact patch of sky where the WOW signal originated. The timing was close. Not perfect, but close enough to be interesting. For a while, the comet theory was the best explanation anyone had. But there were problems. First, comets produce broad, diffuse signals. The WOW signal was narrow and tight. Second, comets do not just appear, they orbit the sun. If a comet caused the signal, it should have been detectable before and after. Astronomers check the records. Nothing. The comet theory is now considered unlikely by most scientists, but it has never been fully ruled out.
Theory number 3. An alien beacon. This is the theory everyone wants to believe. The WOW signal was a message, a deliberate transmission from an intelligent civilization somewhere in the constellation Sagittarius. The math is compelling.
The frequency was perfect. The signal was narrow. The intensity was immense. It had all the hallmarks of a technological source, not a natural one. And here is the detail that keeps the alien theory alive. The signal was strong, very strong. To be detected by the Big Ear telescope from that distance, the source would have had to be incredibly powerful, thousands of times more powerful than anything humans can build. That means one of two things. Either the source was very close, or it was very, very powerful. If it was close, why did no one see it? If it was powerful, why did it never repeat? The alien theory has no good answer to either question, but it also has no good competing theory. That is why it refuses to die. Theory number 4, human error. This is the simplest explanation. The WOW signal was a glitch, a malfunction in the telescope, a stray signal from a passing airplane, a reflection of a radar pulse from the moon. Something mundane, something boring, something that has nothing to do with aliens. The problem with this theory is that the Big Ear telescope was well understood. Its quirks were documented. Its errors were predictable. The WOW signal did not match any known error pattern. Also, if it was human error, why did it never happen again? Why did no other telescope ever record anything like it? Human error is possible, but it is not satisfying, and it does not fit the data. 4 theories. 4 different ways to explain a 72-second mystery. None of them fit perfectly. All of them have holes. And that is why, 48 years later, the WOW signal remains unsolved. But here is the part of the story that rarely gets told. The WOW signal was not the only strange transmission the Big Ear telescope picked up. Over its years of operation, it detected several unexplained blips, brief flashes of radio energy that did not fit any known pattern. Most of them were eventually explained. A satellite, a passing aircraft, a lightning strike. One of them was not. In the late 1990s, a team of astronomers reviewed the old Big Ear data. They found a second signal. Fainter, shorter, but otherwise similar to the WOW signal. Same frequency, same patch of sky, same inexplicable pattern. They published their findings. The scientific community ignored them. The signal was too faint, too brief, too easy to dismiss. But it was there. Jerry Ehman, the man who discovered the original WOW signal, was asked about it before he died. He said he wished someone would build a better telescope, something powerful enough to scan the entire sky at once, something that could finally answer the question. He never got to see that telescope built. But others are trying.
There is a new telescope now. It is called the Square Kilometre Array. It is being built in Australia and South Africa. When it is finished, it will be the most powerful radio telescope ever constructed. It will scan the sky thousands of times faster than the Big Ear ever could. And one of its missions is to revisit the patch of sky where the WOW signal originated. If the signal repeats, the Square Kilometre Array will find it. If it does not repeat, the mystery will remain. Perhaps forever. We will get to that in the final part of this story. The philosophical implications, the silence, the question of whether we are alone. But first, let me ask you something. If you had to bet your life on it, what do you think the WOW signal was? A comet? A satellite? A glitch? Or something else entirely? Leave a comment and tell me about it. Because the answer tells us less about the universe than it tells us about ourselves. Some people want to believe in aliens. Some people want proof. Some people are happy with the mystery. And some people, like Jerry Ehman, just want to know. He spent the rest of his life wondering. He never got an answer. But maybe, with the new telescopes, someone will. Or maybe the universe will stay silent. And that silence, as we will see in the final part of this story, is the strangest thing of all. So here we are, 4 theories, dozens of experts, 48 years of research, and still no answer. Let me remind you where we left off. The signal could have been a comet, or a satellite, or a secret military test, or aliens, or a glitch. Every theory has been tested. Every theory has problems. None of them fit perfectly. But here is the thing about the WOW signal. The longer it remains unsolved, the more people want to solve it. And the more people try, the stranger the explanations become. So let me walk you through the questions that keep astronomers awake at night. Not the theories, the questions behind the theories. Why did it never repeat? This is the single most frustrating thing about the WOW signal. It appeared once, for 72 seconds, and then it vanished. In science, repetition is everything. You cannot publish a discovery unless you can reproduce it. You cannot convince your colleagues unless you can show them the same thing twice. The WOW signal refuses to cooperate. Some scientists have proposed that the signal was a one-time event, a collision between 2 asteroids, a star swallowing a planet, a black hole burping. These things happen, but they do not produce narrowband radio signals at the hydrogen frequency. They produce noise, broad, messy, random. The WOW signal was clean, deliberate, almost designed. And that is why, even after 48 years, the alien theory will not die, because the signal looked like something someone made. What if we are looking in the wrong place? The Big Ear telescope was pointing at a patch of sky in the constellation Sagittarius, a dense field of stars, a direction toward the center of our galaxy. But the telescope was not scanning continuously. It was sweeping, moving slowly across the sky. The signal appeared, peaked, and faded as the telescope moved past. That means we do not know exactly where the signal came from. We know the general area, but not the precise star, not the exact distance. It could have been thousands of light years away, or it could have been much closer. Much, much closer. Think about that. What if the WOW signal did not come from the center of the galaxy? What if it came from the edge of our solar system? What if it came from a place we have already looked, but not closely enough? That possibility is unsettling, because if the signal was that close, we should have found it again. We have better telescopes now. We have scanned that patch of sky thousands of times. Nothing. But maybe we scanned at the wrong frequency, or the wrong time, or the wrong polarization. The signal could be hiding in plain sight, and we would never know. What if it was not a message,
This is the question that most people do not want to ask.
What if the wow signal was not meant for us? What if it was a stray transmission from somewhere else? A leak from an alien civilization, like radio and television signals leaking from Earth? If that is true, the aliens were not trying to say hello. They were just going about their business, watching their own version of television, and we happened to overhear. That would explain why the signal never repeated. It was not a beacon. It was not a greeting. It was just noise. Accidental. Temporary. Like a conversation you overhear on a bus. By the time you turn your head, it is already over. This theory is frustrating because it offers no way to prove itself. If the signal was accidental, the aliens will never send it again. They do not even know we heard them. We are alone in our knowledge, and that is a lonely place to be. What if we are projecting? This is the most uncomfortable question of all. What if the wow signal was not mysterious at all? What if we only think it is mysterious because we want it to be? Think about it. A volunteer sitting at his kitchen table, looking through stacks of paper, desperately hoping to find something. And then he sees a pattern that he has been trained to recognize as evidence of intelligence. Was the signal real? Almost certainly. Was it extraterrestrial? No one knows. But here was the thing about the human brain. It is wired to find patterns, even when there are none. Especially when there are none. The wow signal could have been a natural phenomenon, something rare, something unexplained, but not something intelligent. We are the ones who added the intelligence. We are the ones who wrote wow. We are the ones who have been chasing a ghost for 48 years. Maybe the ghost is not out there. Maybe it is in here, in our heads, in our hopes, in our desperate need to not be alone in the universe. Let me show you a picture. Imagine a room, a quiet room. No windows, no furniture, just a single table in the center. On that table, a stack of paper, thousands of pages, numbers and letters, static and noise. And on one of those pages, a circle drawn in red ink. And next to it, one word. Wow. That is all we have. A circle, a word, a memory of a signal that lasted 72 seconds. Everything else is speculation, educated guesses, hopeful theories. And that is why the wow signal is still unsolved. Not because the science is too hard, but because we do not have enough data, and we may never get more. Here is a question that no one likes to answer. What if the wow signal was real, but we missed our chance? What if it was a message, and we did not answer? The Big Ear telescope was listening. It was not transmitting. When the signal arrived, we could not send a reply. We did not even know it was happening until hours later. If there is a civilization out there, and they sent a signal that reached us in 1977,
they are still waiting for a response. They will be waiting for a very long time. Because even if we answered today, the reply would take 1,800 years to get there. 1,800 years. When the signal left its source, the Roman Empire was still standing. When it reached Earth, humans had walked on the moon. If we answer now, the reply will arrive around the year 3800. By then, we will be gone, or transformed, or living somewhere else entirely. The aliens, if they exist, will never get our message. We will get to that in the final part of this story. The silence, the loneliness, the question of whether we are alone. But first, let me ask you something. Do you think the wow signal was a message? Or do you think it was something random? A comet, a satellite, a glitch? And if it was a message, do you think we should have answered? Leave a comment and tell me about it.
Because those questions are not just about astronomy. They are about us, about what we hope for, about what we fear, about whether we believe that someone, somewhere, is listening. Jerry Ehman, the man who discovered the signal, was asked these questions many times. He always gave the same answer. I don't know what it was, but I would give anything to find out. He died in 2022. He never got his answer. But maybe, someday, someone will. Or maybe they will not. Maybe the universe will stay silent. And that silence, as we will see in the final part of this story, is the strangest thing of all. So, here we are. 48 years, dozens of theories, thousands of hours of listening, and we are no closer to an answer than we were on that August morning when Jerry Ehman picked up his red pen. The signal has not returned. The telescopes have not found anything like it. The scientists have not agreed on an explanation. The wow signal remains what it has always been, a mystery. But here is the thing about mysteries. Sometimes the answer is not the point. Sometimes the point is what the mystery reveals about us. Think about it. Why do we care so much about a 72-second blip of radio static? Why does it haunt us? Why does it refuse to fade into the footnotes of scientific history? Because the wow signal is not just a signal. It is a question. A question we have been asking for thousands of years. Are we alone? And the wow signal is the closest we have ever come to an answer. Let me tell you about the silence. After the wow signal, astronomers did not give up. They built better telescopes. They scanned more of the sky. They listened longer. And they heard almost nothing. There have been other candidates, brief blips, strange readings, moments of excitement that faded into disappointment. But nothing like the wow signal. Nothing that strong, nothing that clear, nothing that fit the pattern so perfectly. The silence has been deafening. And that is the real mystery. Not that we found a signal, but that we have not found another one. The universe is vast. The stars are countless. There are more planets in the galaxy than grains of sand on every beach on Earth. And yet, when we listen, we hear mostly nothing. There is a name for this: the Fermi paradox. The physicist Enrico Fermi, one of the scientists who built the first nuclear reactor, once asked a simple question. If the universe is so vast and so old, and if intelligent life is common, where is everybody? Why has no one visited? Why has no one called? Why is the universe so quiet? The wow signal is the only exception, the only crack in the silence, the only hint that someone, somewhere, might be out there. And even that is uncertain. Some scientists believe the silence means we are alone, that life is rare, that intelligence is even rarer, that civilizations destroy themselves before they can reach across the stars. Others believe the silence means we are not listening correctly. We are looking for radio waves. Maybe aliens communicate with lasers, or neutrinos, or something we have not discovered yet. Others believe the silence means they are hiding. The dark forest theory. In a dangerous universe, the smartest move is to stay quiet, to listen, never to speak. The wow signal, in that interpretation, was a mistake. Someone forgot to turn off their transmitter. Someone got careless. And then they went silent again. Forever. Jerry Ehman, the man who discovered the signal, had his own theory. He did not believe it was aliens. He did not believe it was a comet. He believed it was something else. Something natural. Something rare. Something we have not discovered yet. He once said, "I wish someone would figure it out. Not because I need to be right, because I need to know." He died in 2022. He was 83 years old. He never got his answer. But his question lives on. There is a new telescope now. It is called the Square Kilometre Array. It is being built in Australia and South Africa. When it is finished, it will be the most powerful radio telescope ever constructed. It will scan the sky thousands of times faster than the Big Ear ever could. And one of its missions is to revisit the patch of sky where the wow signal originated. If the signal repeats, the Square Kilometre Array will find it. If it does not repeat, the mystery will remain. Perhaps forever. So here is my final question for you. Do you believe we are alone in the universe?
And if we are not alone, do you believe we will ever find them? Leave a comment and tell me about it, because those questions are the reason the wow signal still matters. Not because of the science, because of the hope. The hope that someone else is out there. The hope that we are not just talking to ourselves. The hope that one day the silence will break. Maybe it will break tomorrow. Maybe it will break in 100 years. Maybe it will never break. But we will keep listening. Because that is what we do. We listen. We wonder. We hope. And sometimes, very rarely, hear something. Wow. That is all from me today. If you want to hear more stories about the mysteries of the universe, the strange signals, the unexplained phenomena, the questions that keep scientists awake at night, then hit subscribe. There is more silence out there, and every once in a while, something breaks it. Until next time, keep listening. You never know what you might